بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي اللهم إنا نسألك علما نافعا ورزقا طيبا وعملا متقبلا اللهم صل وسلم على نبينا Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome everybody. And for those of you that kept the earlier fast with Saudi Arabia, then of course we are entering into the last 10 nights. May Allah make them full of blessing for us. May Allah make us reap the benefits and the blessings of this month. May Allah make it so that we come out of these 10 days imanan wa ihtisaba. We know that from the hadith غُفِرَ لَهُ مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِنْ ذَنْبِهِ, that if you go into the last 10 nights and you stand up and you pray and you go into them with iman and with wahtisab, and you are hoping for the reward, then the reward is that your past sins are forgiven. So may Allah make us amongst these people. Ameen. Okay, so we're going to start ayah number 13 today. So if I just bring that part up, we will not be doing the full ayah. So we'll be doing part of the ayah and finishing off tomorrow, inshallah. So let's start off with the isti'adha and the basmallah. If I can get you, Sister Humaira, to say it with me. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
Yes, you're getting there with the ra. The ra is better than it was. Good. Just mina shaitan, the noon. Mina is a little bit on the heavy side. Mina, keeping it light. Mina shaitan.
Mina shaitan.
And the basmala. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
These raws were a little bit like the old raws, right? I am going to keep reminding you because the reminder will be good. So remember we said the tip of the tongue is not so far back. So at the moment you're going quite far back, right? So let your tip of the tongue come a lot more forward, closer to the makhraj of the noon, right? And remember we said that when you touch the top, you're using the top side as well, okay, for the ra. You're not just using the tip. So remember, you're not curling the tongue. Remember we said the tongue just kind of goes up and down, up, straight down, just behind noon, very forward. Ar-ra. Try it.
Ar-ra.
This is better. Good. Ar-Rahman.
Ar-Rahman.
Yes, this is much better. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim.
Ar-Rahmanir Rahim.
Yes, you're starting to slide a little bit back. So just keep working. You know what to do, inshallah. Just keep going. Just remember to keep the tongue forward, inshallah. Jazakumullahu khairan. Okay, moving on to the next part, we have Ya ayyuhan nasu. You have the Ya being prolonged for 4 to 5 counts. Ya ayyuha, we've done many times. The Ha is then joined to the noon. Ya ayyuhan nas. And of course we have a noon mushaddad, which means we're going to prolong the joining. Okay. Ya ayyuhan han. See how you stay on that part? Ayyuhan nasu. Of course, it's better not to start from ayyuhan nasu because although the ya is separate, for those of you that know, we know that the ya is a separate word. We know that the mad here is jaiz munfasil. But when letters in the Quran, even though they may be different words with their own meaning, when they are written together, then we shouldn't separate them. So that was a mistake on my part. I shouldn't have started from ayyuha. I should have started from ya ayyuha. So ya ayyuhan nasu. So what you want to do now is, as you move to the next part, when you say inna, so I'm not mentioning too much about ya ayyuhan nasu. We have seen this word a few times now. Inna, when you're joining the hamza with the noon, again we have a noon mushaddad. So same thing. Hold the inna. Okay, you want to hold the joining and then you hold the na also for 2 counts because of the mad alif. Okay, so this you hold the in, then you hold the na for 2 counts. Okay, then we come on to the next word. We have the word khalaqnakum. Now this one can be, if you're doing this first time, it does require, it's easy if you slow down and you just try and focus, so take it easy on yourself, don't rush. The kha is a heavy letter. We know, we've discussed the makhraj of this coming from the top of the throat. It is followed by a light la. So be careful not to say khala, the la. You don't want to be saying la, you want to say la. Kha la, kha la. So you're moving from heavy to light. Okay. This is often the mistake that's made. People will keep it heavy and say khala. Okay. You don't want to be doing that. Then the lam is joined with the qaf, and the qaf is back to heavy letter again. Okay, so this is why this part can be a little tricky, because you're moving from heavy to light to heavy. So it should sound like kha, khalaqa, khalaqnakum, not khala, khalaqa, right? You want to make sure that that lam in the middle, you get back to light. The other thing to be careful of here is sometimes people try to overdo the lightness of the lam, and they end up doing something called imala. So they'll end up saying khala, right? Khalaqo. So be careful not to do that either. The way to kind of, if you want to check yourself and just make sure that you're not over exaggerating, or you're not making it too heavy, or you're not over exaggerating the lightness of it, is to actually say it in isolation and say lam fatha la. And the way that you say la, that's the la you want in the word khala, khala, khalaqnakum. Okay. So the kha is heavy, the qaf is also heavy. Now the qaf is what we've seen this letter before. It's a qalqala letter, so we have to bounce it. Okay. Now because it's a heavy letter that's being bounced, the qalqala should sound heavy. So remember we've talked about the qalqala where you bounce off the makhraj. It's an immediate bounce off the makhraj. But you still want to maintain the heaviness in this case. So you don't want to be saying khalaqa. You see the qa at the end, qa, that sounds light. Khalaqo, khalaqo, qa, qa. You want the heavy qalqala, because you're doing a qalqala for a heavy letter. Okay. And then you switch back to light again. Okay, so what is like heavy, light, heavy, and then back to light. The light noon is prolonged for 2 counts here because of the mad alif. Of course, this is mad tabi'i. So we say khalaqnakum. Okay, kum we've discussed many times. Just as a very quick reminder, don't forget the rounding of the circling of the lips for the ku, making sure the makhraj of the kaf is correct. You don't want to be going too back. You want to be a little bit forward. Okay, so the tongue should be going upwards. It shouldn't be going diagonally backwards in any way. It's just straight up. Ku, ku, ku. Okay, and then for the meme, of course, we move away from the circling of the lips, and the meme goes into a relaxed default position. Okay, so we say kum, kum. Okay, we've talked about this quite a number of times before, so that was just a very quick reminder. So let's recite this up until here. If I could get Sister Salma to read this with me, please. يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم
يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم.
So just that kaf, which I think, yeah. The good thing about doing something like this, where you're reciting nearly every day, is that it really helps to point out some of your the more consistent areas that you really need to work on, which is really useful, because it means that coming out of Ramadan, you'll have a really good idea of what needs to be fixed, inshallah. And some of these, inshallah, I pray that Allah fixes them for you before the end of the month is up. I mean, okay, so here we have the word ku. I want you to say ku in isolation for me. Ku.
Ku.
This is good. So you can't say it.
Yeah,
It's just
forward,
sometimes when you're when you're just
okay.
reciting in continuation, it's just very easy to fall back and say it the way that you used to say it before. So ku, kum, kum.
Ku, kum.
Yes,
kum.
mashallah.
Okay.
Yes, this is good. So let's try this word again. خلقناكم.
خلقناكم.
What do you think?
No,
not
I did
quite.
it
Yeah,
back again.
yeah,
I went back.
little bit more. Yeah, a little bit. So let's do it again. Ku, say again. Ku, kum.
Ku, kum.
Okay, now keep this. Now say na kum.
Na kum.
Good. Now say laqnakum.
Laqnakum.
Yes. So you can actually, with this, because you've pronounced the qaf, you can kind of pay attention to, okay, I've gone back for the qaf. Now I'm going to have to go forward for the kaf. So let's do that one more time. Laqnakum.
لقناكم.
Good. خلقناكم.
خلقناكم.
MashaAllah, this is good. Well done. Well done, Sister Salma. Alhamdulillah. Okay. So, inshallah, I hope that many of you have had an opportunity to recite that word a few times for us, alhamdulillah, because we managed to read it a few times together. So I hope you've had that practice. Now, moving forward, when we go on to the next word, we have a meme sakin here, and it's followed by another meme. Okay. Now, we haven't seen, as far as I remember, I'm pretty sure we haven't seen this rule before. We've seen it with another letter, I think it was. We saw another idgham mutamathilain. Was it with a ba and a ba? I can't remember. But we haven't seen it with a meme and a meme. Now, when you have a meme sakina followed by a meme, this again is a rule. It's a meme sakina rule. So you have, when you start learning tajweed, you learn makharij, the articulation point. You learn the sifat, the extra quality of the letters, which ones are bouncy, which ones have the breath, which ones do you rely more on the sound of your voice, which ones are heavy, which ones are light, things like that. You then learn the noon sakina rules, which we've been looking at. So when we've seen, for example, ikhfa haqiqi would be under a noon sakina rule, noon sakina and tanween rule. You also have things like idgham naqis, idgham kamil, which we've seen many times now, which also come under the noon sakina and tanween rules. But you also have another category of rules, the meme sakina rules. We've seen one of them before. We've seen ikhfa shafawi quite earlier on, I think. And we haven't seen this one. So this one is a meme sakin. This comes under the meme sakina rules because it starts with a meme sakin. And when you have two memes like this together, where the first one has a sukoon and the second one is mutaharrik, then this rule is called idgham, and we call it idgham mutamathilain. Okay, the mutamathilain, or some people say mutamathilan. The mutamathilain bit means that you've basically got the same letter twice. So you got a meme and a meme. Okay, that's what that part is telling you. And the idgham is telling you that you are merging it, which means essentially, I know with this one, it can get difficult to understand for some sisters. I'm going to try and just keep it brief. I'm not going to go into too much detail with it because, especially for those of you that are beginners, I just want you to, because we know idgham means to merge. But the way I want you to think about this is, it's like you're going from the kaf to the second meme, right? And then what you're doing here is you only go to the makhraj once, just like we have, I've touched on this before, where you go to the makhraj once, and then as you let go of the makhraj, as you let go of the articulation point where you've pronounced the meme from, you then go straight for the me. So you say, خَلَقْنَاكُم مِّن. Kum, you do not say kum min. Kum, let go of the makhraj, then go back to the makhraj for the meme. Okay, so you come in, you press for the meme, and then as you let go, you pronounce the next part, which is the kasra on the meme. Okay, now because I've said idgham, even though it's of a meme sakina rule, we've seen idgham for noon sakina rules. This is idgham of meme sakina rules. It still has a kamal gunna, it still has a long gunna. Okay, so that joining, when we say kum, we hold that part. Okay, it's akmal gunna, so you stay on it, you let it run, and then you go into the min. Okay, let's try up until here. So let's try this, Auntie Nasreen. يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من
يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من.
MashaAllah, it was good. Alhamdulillah. The only thing I would like you to work on, Auntie, is the ha and the qaf can both be a bit heavier. So at the moment I heard kind of like khalaqa. I want khalaqa, khalaqa. So when you let go of the makhraj of the qaf, don't bring your tongue all the way down at the back. Don't let it all come down and relax. Let it move away from the makhraj, but let the tongue kind of hover and don't let it come all the way down. Let it still stay close. So you move it away, but you still, the back of the tongue is still raised. Kha, khalaqa. Try that first.
خلق.
That's better. Again, khalaqnakum.
خلقناكم.
It's good. Alhamdulillah. The qaf is better. Now we're going to try it one more time. So you've got the qaf nice and heavy. I want you, when you now move on to the noon, remember to go back to light noon, not na, na. خلقناكم.
خلقناكم من.
Good, alhamdulillah. It's better. Generally your fathat tend to be a little bit on the heavy side. So I'm going to leave that for now. But I'm glad, alhamdulillah, the main thing is you managed to do the ha, laqa, that part that I was really wanted to focus on. MashaAllah, you managed to fix that. So alhamdulillah, Allah bless you. Jazakumullah khairan, auntie. Right, as we move on, we have a noon sakin followed by the letter dal. We've talked about the makhraj of the letter dal, just as a reminder. Remember, it's the tip of the tongue, and it's going to, remember we said your tongue kind of sticks out a little bit, so it's kind of like that, right? It kind of sticks out a little bit for the dal, okay? So what we have here is, I don't think we've seen this before. It's a rule that we've covered. I'm not sure if we've covered it with the letter dal. So when you have a noon sakin followed by the letter dal, this is another example of ikhfa haqiqi. Okay, and because the next letter is a light letter, the letter dal is a light letter, we say it has a light gunna. Okay, so remember, for the ikhfa, what are we doing? First of all, we rely on the sound, some of the sound going through the nasal cavity. We do not make our tip of the tongue go to the makhraj of the noon. So we don't say min. I said min earlier when I stopped here, but that was because I was not pronouncing the dal. I stopped on the word min. But if I'm now going to carry on and I am going to say the word dhakarin, then now this is when I apply the rule of ikhfa haqiqi. Okay, so what do? Here my tongue does not go to the makhraj of the noon. Instead, it preps, it gets ready for the next letter, which in this case is letter dal. So we know now where the makhraj of the letter dal is. So as I do the gunna, okay, of the noon, my tongue is very close to the makhraj of the dal. Okay, very close to the, remember, we're not pressing on the dal, we're not pressing on the teeth yet, we're just close so that we're ready. Okay, and what are we ready for? We're ready so that when we pronounce the dal with a fatha, when we say da, then we can press. Okay, so initially when we say mia, then there's no pressing there. Mia, da. When you say the da, then you press on the teeth. Okay, so here we say min dhakarin wa. Now this part here, we've seen this quite a few times also, where you have a tanween, a double, or a noon sakin, and it's followed by the letter waw. Okay, now if you can remember at home, try to say it out loudly to yourself if you can remember the full name. If you can't remember the full name, even if you can remember some of the words. So this was, I'll try and give you a clue by just saying what's going on, and then see if you can still remember the name for those of you that are still struggling. So we have a tanween followed by the letter waw. We said here that you're kind of, the noon that you can hear when you say dhakarin, rin, that noon at the end, is kind of merging. It's not fully merging into the waw. Okay, so merging is your big clue. What was the Arabic word for merging? And this wasn't a complete merge, because we said that when you have a shadda, if there was a shadda, this sign on top of the next letter, that's your clue that you have a complete merge. I'm trying to avoid the Arabic, so I want you guys to remember. Okay, you have a complete merge. So here, what you're doing is you have not got a complete merge, which means that you're kind of pronouncing the noon and you're pronouncing the waw at the same time. So you're saying dhakarin. You can hear the gunna and you can hear the woo of the waw. Okay, so that's how you want to be pronouncing it. Okay, fine, it's giveaway time. So this is actually idgham. Now the next one was either kamil or naqis. This was idgham naqis. Okay, naqis means incomplete, and this is with gunna or bi gunna. I've written in the past. Okay, just keep the consistency. Okay, so we prolong, and because this is the idgham, yes, we prolong the joining again. Dhakarin wa. Okay, when you say the wa, be careful not to say wa. Dhakarin wa. Dhakarin wa. Let your lips come back fully. Dhakarin wa. Untha. Again, here we have a noon sakin followed by a tha. This is actually the same rule as here with the dal. It's ikhfa haqiqi again, with a light gunna again, because the letter tha is also a light letter. So again, the tha has actually the same makhraj as the letter dal. So remember, it starts sticking out of the tongue a little bit. Okay. Now, one of my teachers, when she was teaching me the very precise makhraj, she used to say, the tha, more of the tongue sticks out. For the dal, a little bit less of the tongue sticks out. For the la, you get to the very tip of the tongue. Okay, so if you want to be really precise, la, and then a little bit out for the dal, a little bit more out for the tha. Okay. So tha is an airy letter this time. So we say wa, and again I'm ready for the tha, but I'm not pressing on the tha whilst I do the gunna. Wa, then I press wa, tha. Okay, the tha is then prolonged, of course, for 2 counts because it has the mad tabi'i with it. Okay, let's try this from the top, inshallah. Sister Humaira, let's try this. Yeah, sorry. يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى.
يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى.
Okay, good. Alhamdulillah. So for you, let me just get rid of some of these markings so I can talk about that. Actually, I want to keep that arrow just in case somebody's writing it down. Right. This lam was heavy. Okay, so we need to make this lighter when you shift from the kha to the lam. And when you did the ikhfa here for untha, it sounded like you were pressing on the teeth for the tha and saying your tongue was touching the teeth, right? Your tongue shouldn't be touching the teeth. It should be very close to the teeth. So yours sounded like this. Untha. Listen for the bit. See, I'll do it both ways. So your way, which was not quite right, untha. The right way, untha. Can you hear the difference?
Yes.
Okay, so not touching the teeth. So let's try from inna khalaqun. No, let's try from. We'll start from خلقناكم. خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى.
خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى.
Yes, the other thing I want you to do is I want you to think about when you move from the dhamma, start off with the dhamma oo, then move your lips away from that position. Oo, if you keep your lips there, it'll sound heavy. The gunna sounds heavy. That's much better. Jazakumullahu khairan. Okay. Barakallahu fiki. Let's move on to the next part. So we have the next part. Oh gosh, look at the time. Right. We have here وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ. So again, these are all light letters. The ayn is joined with the lam here. The lam, for those of you that know here, this is lamul fi'al, and the hukam here is idhahar. We pronounce it clearly. وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ. The thing to remember here is the lam is tawassut. So it's that one that you stay on, not too long, not too short. وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ is pretty straightforward. We've discussed nakum with خَلَقْنَاكُمْ. Waja'a is also, there's nothing really complicated there. We can move on to the word shu'uban. So with this one, be careful not to say shu'u. It's very easy to kind of ease yourself into the dhamma sound and say shu'u. You want to say shu'u, shu'uba, shu'uba. Okay, go into the dhamma, the circling of the lips straight away. We have the 2 count ayn, and then here we go again. We have a double tanween followed by a wow. This is again your idgham. See if you can remember the rest at home. Idgham. There's no shadda. So is it complete or incomplete? It's incomplete. It's naqis and it's bi ghunna again. So we've seen this before. So how do we pronounce this? Shu'uban wa. Shu'uban wa. Okay. It's then followed by a heavy qaf, waqa. The ba here, it has the long mud sign on top because it's followed by the letter hamza. This is an example of your mad wajib muttasil, and it's 4 to 5 counts. Okay, 4 to 5 counts long. So this is a long one. So we say waqaba ila, waqaba. Now be careful, you're shifting from a heavy qaf to a light ba, and you're starting off with a light waw. وقبائل وقبائل. Okay. And then finally you have لِتَعَارَفُوا. Li. Remember the kasra. You don't want to be saying li. It's li. Lam kasra li. Ta. Da'a is 2 counts. لِتَعَا. لِتَعَا. The ra is heavy. Remember we said when the ra has something at the top, like a fatha or a dhamma or a zabr or a pesh, then it's heavy. So لِتَعَارَ. Ra. So it's not rhyming with your ta anymore. Ta was nice and light. لِتَعَارَ. Then you shift to heavy. لِتَعَارَفُوا. Fu is held in this case because we're stopping every 2 counts. But of course, the next word is inna, which we're not doing today. But if you were pronouncing the next word, which is inna, then this, because it's followed by the hamza, if we carry on reading, then this would be mad wajib, mad jaiz munfasil, and it would be 4 to 5 counts long. We would say لِتَعَارَفُوا إِنَّ أَكْرَمَكُمْ. Okay. But because we are stopping, we are going to stop on it with 2 counts. Okay. Because we're not reading the hamza. Right, Auntie, if you'd like to join me for this last part, we'll start from here. وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا.
وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا.
Okay, alhamdulillah. What I'd like to do, Auntie, is this idgham that we have here, you just need to spend a little bit longer on it. There was something else. Oh, and also the ayn. Remember to squeeze for the ayn, because I didn't hear the correct makhraj of the ayn. Let's try that again. وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا.
وجعلناكم شعوبا وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا.
Yes, and just that ra at the end, Auntie, nice and heavy. لِتَعَارَفُوا.
لتعارفوا.
That's better. Jazakumullahu khairan. So you will find that there's a lot to think about here. You've got the ayn, you've got the idgham, you have to do the mud, you have to think about the kasra. So there is a lot going on. So even for those of you at home, it's very normal to sometimes find yourself having to repeat again and again and again, just until you establish all of those rules, because there is a lot to pay attention to. So Jazakumullahu khairan, Auntie. Very good effort, alhamdulillah. Let's say the ayah from the beginning now. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of some of these that I've done because they are just not looking very good. Okay. So if you'd like to join me for this, Sister Salma. يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى.
يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى.
Your idgham can be a little bit stronger when you say ذَكَرٍ. Just making sure that you are, because if you keep it very weak, it's very difficult to kind of, you want to be clear that you are pronouncing the waw. So if you say ذَكَرٍ, it's a bit weak. ذَكَرٍ. So let's try that part again. ذَكَرٍ وَأُنثَى.
ذكر وأنثى.
Much better. And then just the kum, because you can do the kum. I'm just going to keep reminding you so that it becomes a habit. خَلَقْنَاكُمْ.
خلقناكم.
Better. Jazakumullahu khairan. And for the final part, if Sister Zulayha, you'd like to join me for the bottom line, please. وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا.
وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا.
Good. MashaAllah. Barakallahu fiki. If you could just repeat the first word. وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ.
وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ.
Good. Alhamdulillah. Jazakumullahu khairan. Allah bless all of you for your efforts and your time. Alhamdulillah. And I ask Allah to open up the doors for all of us to be able to recite in a way that is pleasing to Him. Barakallahu li wa lakum fi al-Qur'an al-Hakim wa nafa'ani wa iyyakum bil ayati wa dhikri al-Hakim. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala nabiyyina Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Take care, everyone.